My fiancé blocks my number the morning of the wedding and disappears with my sister. But when he unblocks me years later and reads my messages, he regrets everything and calls me today. I woke up at 6 a.m. on my wedding day to 47 missed calls from the venue. My dress was hanging on the door, white lace with pearl buttons I'd saved for 2 years to afford. I grabbed my phone to text Ron good morning like every day for the past 8 years. That's when I noticed every text came back green. I tried calling straight to voicemail. I checked Instagram, blocked. Facebook, blocked. It was like he erased me completely. I called his mom. She said he left at 5 a.m. to pick something up. Never called back. I called his best man, Tyler, 6 times. On the 7th, he picked up. Tyler, where is Ron? Long pause. I'm so sorry. Call your sister. My sister, Alina, was my maid of honor, supposed to help me at 8 a.m. I called her 10 times, straight to voicemail. By 10 a.m., the venue called. We have 200 guests arriving. Do we have a wedding? I started crying. Tyler texted at 10:47. He left with someone, took his car, drove north. Who? I typed. 3 dots. That's when I knew. I called Alina's boyfriend, Howard. Where is she? He laughed. They've been planning this for months. He told me everything. Caught them texting at 2 a.m. She'd delete threads. Ron would park 2 streets over. Meeting at a motel off Highway 9 for 6 months. Howard confronted her last week. She admitted everything. Said she loved Ron. I drove to her apartment in pajamas. Landlord said she moved out yesterday. Moving truck and everything. I sat in my car, left her 38 voicemails. Told her everything Howard said. She'd done this to 2 other guys. Her life was a lie. Every message never delivered. Green. Wedding canceled. 200 guests got calls. Parents wanted the reception anyway. I said no. Spent that night alone eating cake samples we'd saved in the freezer. Next 4 years. Hell. Therapy twice a week. Deleted every photo. Blocked my family. They defended Alina. Said she fell in love. I built a new life across the state. Started my own business. Made friends who didn't know anything. Finally. Okay. Yesterday. Unknown number called. Something made me pick up. It's Ron. I hadn't heard his voice in 4 years. Why are you calling? He could barely speak. I just read your messages from wedding day. Saw them today. He unblocked me 6 hours ago. Kept me blocked 4 years. She told me you were harassing her, that you were unstable, so I never unblocked you. Why today? I asked. Got DNA results for all 3 kids. None of them are mine. She what? She lied. First kid born 8 months after isn't mine. Twins aren't mine. I confronted her. She admitted seeing Howard the whole time. I hung up. 2 hours later, phone exploded. Mom called screaming. How could you? Ron showed up at Alina's with paternity results. She called Mom crying. Mom said I was bitter. Should have kept quiet. Ruined a family. I laughed. She ruined her own family. Lying for 4 years. Should have thought about that before stealing my fiancé. Mom hung up. Dad called. Said apologize to Alina. I blocked them both, not apologizing for telling the truth. She made her choices. Now she lives with the consequences. Ron kept calling that night. Left 15 voicemails saying he threw away everything for someone who never loved him. Said the kids call him daddy but aren't his. Said Alina admitted she got pregnant on purpose to trap him. She'd been cheating their entire relationship. My sister posted on Facebook that I destroyed her family, that I was jealous, bitter, couldn't let her be happy. Her friends commented calling me toxic. Said real sisters support each other. I wanted to comment back, real sisters don't steal fiancés on wedding days. But I didn't. I just watched her life implode from 300 miles away. Someone sent me a link to a blog called Surviving Family Sabotage, posted twice weekly for 18 months about Alina's mentally unstable sister. Entire comment section of strangers calling me a narcissist based on stories she'd invented. I scrolled down and saw my address posted in the comments with someone asking, should we do a wellness check? My doorbell rang and 2 police officers stood there saying they'd received multiple calls about my concerning behavior toward my sister. I invited them in, offered coffee. They looked confused, like they expected someone unhinged. The older officer, name tag said Daniels, sat on my couch. The younger one stood by the door taking notes. Ma'am, we've received several calls from concerned individuals stating you've been harassing your sister online and making threatening statements. I haven't spoken to my sister in 4 years, I said, until yesterday when her life fell apart and she needed someone to blame. I showed them my phone, blocked numbers, blocked social media. Showed them the blog someone sent me with my address in the comments. Showed them Alina's Facebook post calling me toxic, posted 6 hours ago. Daniels read through everything. So you haven't contacted her at all? Not once. She's the one who's been writing about me for a year and a half, posting lies to strangers. Someone in her comment section published my home address. The younger officer looked at his notes. The caller said you've been sending disturbing messages about her children. I didn't even know she had children until yesterday. Want to see my phone records? I pulled up my call log, my text history, everything. Daniels took screenshots. He asked if I wanted to file a report about the blog and the address being posted. I said yes. They left 20 minutes later, apologizing for the inconvenience. I sat there shaking. My sister was so desperate to control the narrative that she called the cops on me. Made up an entire story about harassment that never happened. I opened my laptop and started reading that blog from the beginning. Every post painted me as obsessed, jealous, mentally unstable. She wrote about me showing up at her house, which never happened. About me sending her threatening emails, which never happened. About me trying to turn her kids against her, kids I'd never met. The comments were brutal. Hundreds of strangers who believed every word. They called me evil, said I needed to be committed. One person wrote that people like me shouldn't be allowed near children. I screenshotted everything and sent it to my lawyer. Then I noticed something. One of the frequent commenters had the username concernedmom47. I clicked on the profile. No photo, no personal information. But the writing style was familiar, the way she used commas, the phrases she repeated. I scrolled through every comment concernedmom47 had ever left. She talked about having 2 daughters, one stable, one troubled. She talked about watching her troubled daughter spiral for years. She talked about the stable daughter finally finding happiness after years of covering for her sister. It was my mother. I knew it in my bones. The details were too specific. The timeline matched. She'd been in Alina's comment section for over a year, posing as a stranger, backing up every lie Alina told about me, calling me unstable, saying I needed professional help, reinforcing the narrative to hundreds of readers that I was dangerous. I called Ron. He answered on the first ring. I need you to tell me the truth about the morning of the wedding. Everything that happened before you left. He was quiet for a long time. Why now? Because I just found out my mother's been pretending to be a stranger on the internet calling me crazy. I need to know what else she did. Another pause. Then he said, your mom called me at 4:30 that morning. My stomach dropped. What did she say? She said not to go to the venue, that she'd handle everything. I thought she meant she'd tell you, gently. I thought she was trying to help both of us avoid the embarrassment of me not showing up. She told you to leave? Not in those words, but yeah. She said she knew about me and Alina, said she understood, said she'd take care of the details and I should just go, that it would be easier for everyone. I couldn't breathe. My mother called my fiancé at 4:30 in the morning and gave him permission to abandon me. She coordinated his departure before he'd even fully decided to go through with it. Why didn't you tell me this before? I thought you knew. I thought she told you. And then Alina said you were harassing her and you seemed so angry in those messages, and I just figured you blamed me for everything, so I kept you blocked. What messages, Ron? I left you voicemails on your other number through Tyler. I never texted you directly. You had me blocked. No, the texts your mom showed me, the ones you sent her. Everything stopped. My mother showed you texts from me? Yeah, after the wedding, like a week later. She came to our apartment and said you were struggling and she wanted me to see how bad it had gotten. The texts were really concerning. You were talking about not being able to go on without me and really dark stuff. She said she was worried you might hurt yourself, and that's why she was glad I'd left, because staying would have made it worse. I closed my eyes. Ron, I never sent those texts. I never texted my mother after the wedding. I called her once. She told me to give Alina space, and I hung up. That was it. But I saw them on her phone. She faked them. She made up texts to make you think leaving me was the right thing to do so you wouldn't feel guilty and leave Alina. He didn't say anything. I could hear him breathing. Then, quietly, oh my God, what else did she tell you? I need to think. I need to remember. This was 4 years ago, and I believed everything she said, so I didn't question it. Can I call you back? He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone. My mother had orchestrated everything. She called Ron that morning. She faked texts from me. She created evidence of my mental instability to justify his abandonment. She'd been planning this, actively helping them get away with it, making sure I looked like the problem. 20 minutes later, Ron called back. 2 days before the wedding, he said, voice shaking. Your mother came to my apartment. Alina was at work. Your mom said she needed to talk to me alone. She said she was worried about you, that you'd been acting strange for weeks. She said you'd been obsessing over wedding details to an unhealthy degree, and she was scared of how you'd react to any kind of stress or change. She came to your apartment 2 days before the wedding. Yeah, she sat on my couch for like an hour. She showed me text messages, screenshots. They looked like texts you sent her. You were talking about how you couldn't survive if anything went wrong with the wedding, how you'd been having really dark thoughts, how you felt like you were losing your mind. She cried. She said she was terrified you were going to have a breakdown, and she didn't know how to help you anymore. My hands were shaking. Describe the texts. There was one that said something like, Mom, I can't do this anymore. If Ron leaves me, I don't know what I'll do. I can't live without him. Another one said, I've been having thoughts I shouldn't be having. I know it's wrong, but I can't stop. There were like 6 or 7 of them. They sounded exactly like you. Same typing style. Same words you use. I never sent those. She wrote them herself. She spent hours on them, didn't she? She knew exactly how to make them sound real. I could barely speak. My mother had fabricated an entire mental health crisis. She created evidence, brought it to my fiancé 2 days before my wedding, and convinced him I was unstable. She set the stage for him to leave without guilt. She made abandoning me look like compassion. Ron, did you tell anyone else about those texts? No, your mom said not to. She said it would humiliate you if people knew. She said she was only showing me because she needed me to understand what I was dealing with, and that if I went through with the wedding, I needed to be prepared for you to need serious help. So she isolated the information, made sure only you saw it. Yeah, she said it was private family business. I hung up and drove 3 hours straight to my parents' house. Didn't call ahead, didn't warn them. Pulled up at 9:00 p.m. and rang the doorbell. My father answered. He looked shocked. What are you doing here? Where's Mom? It's late. Get her. My mother appeared behind him. She looked older, tired. She tried to smile. Honey, this is a surprise. I pushed past both of them and walked into the living room, sat on the couch. We need to talk. My mother sat across from me. My father stayed standing. She folded her hands in her lap like we were about to discuss the weather. Did you fake text messages to show Ron? I asked. Her face didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. A calculation. She glanced at my father. He looked at the floor. I did what I had to do, she said quietly. Why? Because Alina was pregnant. Because she was desperate. Because Ron needed a reason to leave that wasn't just an affair. I gave him one. I made him think leaving was the compassionate choice. That he'd be enabling someone mentally unwell if he stayed. You made him think I was suicidal. I made him think you needed help he couldn't provide. Yes. And you wrote the text yourself. I studied how you text. I made them believable. My father was still staring at the floor. I looked at him. Did you know about this? He didn't answer. My mother answered for him. He helped me. Dad? He finally looked up. His eyes were red. She needed them to be perfect. We used an old phone, copied your texting style. Took us hours. We had to make them sound disturbed enough to scare him, but believable enough to seem real. I felt like I'd been punched. Both of them. Both of my parents sat at their kitchen table crafting fake evidence of my mental breakdown. Spent hours perfecting the wording. Made sure it would be convincing enough to destroy my credibility and justify my abandonment. Why? I asked. My mother leaned forward. Because Alina needed him. Because she was pregnant and terrified and she needed that man to commit to her without guilt. We gave him a reason. We made him think he was protecting you, not abandoning you. And we protected your reputation because instead of people knowing Alina stole your fiancé, they'd think you were too fragile to get married and he made a hard but necessary choice. You wanted people to think I was crazy. I wanted people to think you were struggling, yes. Better that than them knowing the truth about Alina. I looked at my father. And you were okay with this? He finally spoke. We weren't trying to hurt you. We were trying to give Ron permission to leave without guilt and give Alina the life she needed. By destroying mine. My mother stood up. You were always going to be fine. You're strong. You recover. Alina doesn't. Alina falls apart. Someone had to make the hard choice and it was going to be me. What else did you do? I asked. She hesitated. My father looked at her. She sat back down. I called the venue at 6 a.m. the morning of your wedding. Told them you were having a mental health crisis and couldn't get married. The coordinator offered to postpone. I said no. Cancel everything. I told them to be discreet about the reason. Said you needed privacy. You canceled my wedding. You weren't getting married that day anyway. Ron was already gone. I was trying to control the narrative. What did you tell people? I called some of the guests, the important ones. Told them you were hospitalized briefly the week before for stress and the wedding was too much. That you needed space to recover. I asked them not to contact you because it would be triggering. 200 people thought I had a breakdown. My mother made sure of it. She called them personally. Crafted the story. Made me the fragile one who couldn't handle marriage while Alina became the woman who finally found love. Who did you call? She listed names. My college roommate, my cousin, my aunt, 3 of my closest friends from work, my father's business partner, my mother's book club. She'd hit every social circle I had, poisoned every well. I pulled out my phone and started calling people, right there in the living room. Put them on speaker. My college roommate, Jessica, answered on the 3rd ring. Hey, it's me. I need to ask you something. What did my mother tell you about my wedding? Jessica was quiet. Then, she called me that morning. She was crying. She said you'd been hospitalized the week before. Something about stress and anxiety getting really bad. She said the wedding was making it worse and you decided to cancel for your own health. She asked me not to reach out because you needed space and contact would set you back. I was never hospitalized. What? I was never hospitalized. She made it up. The wedding was canceled because my fiancé left with my sister. My mother created the mental health story to cover for Alina. Jessica didn't say anything for a long time. Then, are you serious? Completely. Can you tell me exactly what she said? Jessica described the phone call. My mother crying, voice shaking, talking about how worried she'd been for months, how I'd been erratic at dress fittings, how I'd stopped eating, how I'd called her at 3 a.m. several times in tears. None of it true. All of it specific enough to be believable. I called my cousin next. Same story, different details. My mother told him I'd been struggling with medication changes and the wedding stress pushed me over the edge. Told him I was staying with them for a few weeks to recover and didn't want visitors. I called 5 more people. Every single one had been told a version of the same lie. I was unstable. The wedding was too much. I needed privacy and isolation to heal. My mother had systematically cut me off from my entire support system by convincing them that contact would hurt me. My mother sat there listening to every call. Her face was stone. When I finished, she said, I did what I had to do. You destroyed my reputation to protect hers. I protected both of you. You from humiliation, her from judgment. By making everyone think I was crazy. By giving them a reason that let you keep your dignity. Would you rather they knew Alina stole Ron? That she got pregnant with someone else's baby and trapped him? I gave you an out. People felt sorry for you, not disgusted by your sister. My phone rang. It was Ron. I answered. I need to tell you something else, he said. The night before the wedding, your mother came to my place again. Alina was out with her bridesmaids. Your mom sat with me for 2 hours. She told me things about you, a history I didn't know. What history? She said you'd had breakdowns in college, that you'd been on medication you stopped taking, that you'd had concerning behavior I'd overlooked because I loved you. She said Alina had been covering for you for years and was exhausted from it. That marrying you would mean managing your mental health for the rest of my life. My mother's face twitched. She knew I was hearing this. None of that's true, Ron. I know that now, but she was so detailed, so specific. She talked about an incident freshman year where you locked yourself in your dorm room for 3 days. She talked about medication names. She cried and said she was terrified of what would happen to you, but she couldn't enable it anymore. She made it sound like marrying you would be cruel to both of us. She invented an entire psychiatric history. She was so convincing. She knew exactly what to say. And I believed her because she's your mother. Why would she lie about her own daughter? I looked at my mother. Why did you invent a psychiatric history? She didn't even hesitate. Because Alina needed Ron to believe leaving was the right thing to do, not just an affair. I needed him to think he was protecting you, not abandoning you. That way he could commit to Alina without guilt, and your reputation would stay intact because people would pity you instead of judging her. You made up college breakdowns. I made up a history that explained why the wedding was canceled in a way that didn't destroy either of you. It worked. My father stepped forward. It did work, didn't it? Ron stayed with Alina. You moved on. Everyone moved forward. I stared at him. You think this was a success? No one knew the truth. That's success. I pulled out my voice recorder. Hit play. My mother's voice filled the room, crystal clear, admitting she faked the texts, admitting she invented the mental health crisis, admitting she called Ron and the venue and the guests. All of it. I'd been recording since I walked in. What are you going to do with that? My mother asked. I don't know yet. If you play that for anyone, you'll humiliate your sister. You'll destroy what's left of her life. She destroyed mine first. She was desperate and pregnant. You were fine. I wasn't fine. I spent 4 years in therapy trying to understand why everyone abandoned me. I moved across the state. I lost my entire friend group. You made sure of that. My mother stood up. I made a choice. Alina needed help. You didn't. I stand by it. Even now, knowing Ron's kids aren't his, knowing she lied to him for 4 years, knowing she's still with Howard, that's her consequence to live with, not mine. I stood up. Did you send that email to extended family after the wedding? My mother looked genuinely confused. What email? The one asking everyone to give me privacy because I was recovering from a breakdown. Her face cleared. Oh, yes. I sent that the week after. I wanted to make sure everyone understood you needed space. You isolated me from my entire family. I protected you from questions you didn't want to answer. I would have told them the truth. Exactly. And then what? Alina would have been the villain. Ron would have been the cheater. The whole family would have fractured. I kept everyone together. By sacrificing me. By making a choice. Someone had to. My phone rang again. Alina, I answered. What did you tell Ron? She screamed. He showed up with lawyers and paternity tests and he's threatening to sue me for fraud. He knows about Howard. He knows about the fake texts. What did you do? I told him the truth. Mom told me you'd do this. She said you'd try to ruin everything out of spite. Mom helped you ruin everything. I just stopped covering for her. She was protecting me. She was protecting herself from having to admit her daughter's a liar. And she destroyed me to do it. You don't understand. I was pregnant and terrified and she helped me. She's our mother. That's what mothers do. Not for both daughters, apparently. Alina started crying. Please don't tell anyone else. If this gets out, I'll lose everything. The kids call Ron daddy. If people know the truth, my whole life falls apart. It should. We're sisters. You're supposed to protect me. You stole my fiancé on my wedding day, let our mother convince everyone I was crazy, and wrote a blog calling me a narcissist for 18 months. What part of that deserves my protection? She was sobbing now. Mom said she had a plan. She said it would all work out. She promised if I just went along with it, everything would be fine. I didn't know she was going to go that far. I didn't know about the fake texts or the calls to Ron. She just told me to trust her. And you did. Because she's our mother. Because she said she'd fix everything. I hung up, looked at my mother. Alina just said you planned all of this. That you told her to trust you and you'd fix everything. My mother sat back down, calm as anything. I told her I'd handle the situation, yes. She was panicking. Someone needed to take control. So you admit you orchestrated the whole thing. I facilitated a difficult transition, yes. I recorded that too. My father was pacing now. You need to stop recording. Why? Worried about what else she'll admit? My mother looked at me. What do you want? You want me to say I'm sorry? I'm not. I did what needed to be done. Alina was pregnant and desperate and suicidal, frankly. You were stable and employable and capable. Someone had to make the hard choice and no one else was going to do it. So you chose her. I chose the daughter who needed me more. And you've been choosing her ever since. The blog, the comments. Concerned Mom 47. That's you, isn't it? She blinked. I don't know what you're talking about. The blog Alina's been writing. Surviving Family Sabotage. You've been commenting on it for over a year under a fake name, backing up every lie she told about me. I found your account. The writing style matches. The details match. You've been pretending to be a stranger, calling me unstable to hundreds of readers. My father stopped pacing. Is that true? My mother looked at him, then back at me. Alina needed support. The blog was her way of processing everything. I wasn't going to comment under my real name. So you created a fake persona to publicly call your own daughter crazy. I supported Alina's healing process by telling strangers I'm dangerous, by reinforcing the narrative that protected both of you. I pulled up the blog on my phone, scrolled to Concerned Mom 47's comment history, read them out loud, every comment calling me obsessed, unstable, a danger to Alina's children, every comment suggesting I needed to be committed or kept away from the family. My mother's words, disguised as a concerned stranger. My father sat down. He looked sick. You've been doing this for a year? I've been helping my daughter cope with a difficult family situation, yes. By destroying our other daughter online. By giving Alina the support she needed to move forward. My aunt called. I answered on speaker. There's a family gathering planned this weekend, she said. Your mother didn't invite you, but I am. Will you come? I looked at my mother. What family gathering? My aunt paused. Your mother's organizing a dinner. Whole family. She said it was time everyone reconnected. She didn't mention me. I noticed. That's why I'm calling. I think you should be there. I'll come, I said. And I'm bringing evidence. Evidence of what? Evidence that my mother faked a mental illness, created fake text messages, lied to 200 people, and manipulated my fiancé into thinking he was saving my life by abandoning me. My aunt was quiet. Then, bring everything. The gathering was at my parents' house. 30 people, extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, my grandparents, people I hadn't seen in 4 years because they thought I'd had a breakdown and needed space. I walked in at 6 p.m. with a folder full of printed screenshots, recordings on my phone, and a laptop. Everyone stared. My mother saw me and her face went white. She walked over fast. What are you doing here? Aunt Linda invited me. This is a family dinner. It's about healing and moving forward. Perfect. Then you won't mind me participating. She tried to steer me toward the kitchen. I pulled away and walked to the living room where everyone was gathering. My mother followed, whispering urgently, "Don't do this. Not here. Not now." When then? When you've spent another 4 years telling them I'm unstable? People were sitting down. My mother stood at the front of the room, trying to take control. Thank you all for coming. This is about reconnecting as a family, about forgiveness and moving forward together. I interrupted. Mom, can you tell everyone why Ron didn't show up to my wedding? The room went silent. My mother's smile froze. This isn't the time. You said this is about healing. I need to heal. So tell them, why didn't Ron show up? He had doubts about the marriage. Why did he have doubts? That's between you and him. I pulled out my phone. This is a recording of my mother from 3 days ago. I hit play. Her voice filled the room, clear and steady. I told Ron she was mentally unstable and showed him fabricated texts. I needed him to think leaving was the compassionate choice, not abandonment. Everyone stared at the phone. Then at my mother. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. My aunt stood up. You faked text messages? I played more. My mother admitting she called Ron at 4:30 a.m., admitting she called the venue, admitting she emailed the family, admitting she invented a psychiatric history, every word in her own voice. My cousin asked, "Why would you do that?" My mother finally found her voice. Alina was pregnant. She was desperate. She was suicidal even. She needed Ron. I was stable and could recover. Someone had to make the hard choice. So you made everyone think she was crazy? My uncle asked. I gave them a reason that protected both my daughters. Would you rather they knew Alina stole Ron? That she got pregnant while he was engaged to her sister? I gave everyone an explanation that let them save face. I played the next recording. Alina's voice, panicked and fast. Mom came up with the whole plan. The mental health narrative, the fake evidence, the isolation strategy. She told me to trust her and she'd fix everything. I just went along with it because I was pregnant and scared and she promised it would all work out. My mother tried to speak. She was desperate. You told her to steal my fiancé? My aunt asked. I told her I'd handle a difficult situation, and I did. I opened my laptop and pulled up the blog, turned it around so everyone could see. This is a blog Alina's been writing for 18 months. It's called Surviving Family Sabotage. Every post is about her mentally unstable sister who's been harassing her and trying to ruin her life. That sister is me. None of it is true. I haven't contacted Alina in 4 years. I scrolled to the comments section, highlighted Concerned Mom 47. This account has been commenting on every post for over a year. This person talks about having 2 daughters, one stable, one troubled, talks about watching the troubled daughter spiral. Every comment reinforces Alina's narrative. Every comment calls me dangerous. I looked at my mother. That account is my mother. She's been pretending to be a stranger online, backing up Alina's lies, calling me unstable to hundreds of readers. My grandmother stood up. Show me. I handed her the laptop. She read through the comments, her face getting harder with each one. She looked at my mother. You wrote these? My mother lifted her chin. Alina needed support. I wasn't going to comment under my real name. You called your own daughter dangerous. I supported the narrative that protected both of them. My father stood up. I need everyone to understand. We were trying to protect. You helped her, I said. You helped her create the fake texts. You spent hours making them believable. She told me. He looked at the floor. The room erupted. Everyone talking at once. My mother trying to explain. My father trying to defend. Cousins asking questions. Aunts demanding answers. My uncle stood up. Let me get this straight. You faked a mental breakdown to cover up Alina stealing Ron. You created fake evidence. You lied to everyone at the wedding. You've spent 4 years maintaining this lie. And you've been doing it all to protect Alina while throwing your other daughter under the bus. I made a choice, my mother said, voice rising. Alina needed me. She was pregnant and terrified and breaking apart. She needed help. She needed protection. I gave it to her. What about your other daughter? My grandmother asked quietly. My mother looked at me, really looked at me. She was always going to be fine. She's strong. She recovers. Alina doesn't. Alina falls apart. Alina needs saving. She always has. So you chose, I said. Yes. I chose the daughter who needed me more. I chose the daughter who couldn't survive without help because someone had to make that choice, and no one else was going to do it. The room went silent. My mother's face was flushed. She looked around at everyone staring at her. You all want to judge me? Fine, judge me. But I did what any mother would do. I protected my child. You have 2 children, my aunt said, and I made a choice about which one needed me more. I chose Alina because she would not have survived without me. She was pregnant and alone and desperate. I gave her a way forward. I gave her a life. Yes, it cost her sister something, but she recovered. She's standing here, isn't she? She's fine. I'm not fine, I said quietly. I spent 4 years thinking everyone abandoned me because I was fundamentally broken. I rebuilt my entire life in another state because I thought my family believed I was too unstable to be around. You made sure of that. And look at you now, my mother said. You have a business. You have friends. You survived. Alina wouldn't have. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I'm her mother. I know my daughters. I know which one could handle it and which one couldn't. I looked at her, really looked at her. You convinced everyone I was crazy to hide that she's a cheater. You destroyed my reputation so she could keep his. We're done. I picked up my folder, my laptop, my phone. I walked toward the door. Half the family stood up and followed. My aunt, my uncle, 2 cousins, my grandmother. They walked out behind me without a word. My mother screamed after us. I did what any mother would do. I protected my child. Someone had to make the hard choice. I turned at the door. You made a choice. Now live with it. I walked out into the cold. My grandmother put her hand on my shoulder. Behind us, through the open door, my mother was still screaming that she did what she had to do, that someone had to protect Alina, that she made the only choice she could. My aunt closed the door.